back, scrapbookers. Today we have a special edition of the Nifty Scrapbooker. What we're going to be doing is scrapbooking the 4th of July. With it coming up in just a couple days, I'm going to give you a fantastic layout. We're going to be covering some how to add embellishments, how to double match your photos, and how to store your albums correctly so you don't have any problems in the future. So stay tuned for our scrapbooking the 4th of July. Our theme in my pages today is a float trip we took down the South Branch of the Potomac River. And so you'll see a lot of people in rafts and stuff, but that's what we did on the 4th of July one year. So whatever your 4th of July custom is, you can use this layout for. So kick back and enjoy the 4th of July layout. Okay, we're ready to scrapbook our patriotic layout. To do this, I'm kind of doing a little different thing with my templates this time. What I did is I brought this Paisley Place template up like this. We're going to be taking a Storybook Lane template that's very similar to the Paisley Place. We're going to be laying it underneath. Because what I wanted to do with this one is I wanted to create a pattern that looked like a waving flag to make it look a little more patriotic. So I'm going to bring a Paisley Place here, the smaller template Paisley Place here, and as you see, we got this like wave going. Well, I went to AC Moore and I found this wonderful red and white striped paper. I found one with white stars on a blue background, and that's what we're going to be using today. Also, we're going to be using a couple templates from the Adventure line to put a star on here, and we're going to lay it like about right there. Then that leaves us room for a couple pictures down here. Alright, and we're going to teach you how to not only double mat our photos in our journaling boxes, but we're going to teach you how to use embellishments on this page. We're going to spice it up even more, and how to appropriately use embellishments with photos involved. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to start out first with our background. So our background is, let's see, I think, yep, it was this one. And we're going to lay this. See, when you're doing a landscape picture like this, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the finished page. We want to line up our stuff on our other page. So we're going to bring this right up to here, okay? And we're going to lay that right like that. Then when we bring our second page in, this page will meet up with this page down here, okay? So that's how we're going to glue them down. So I've already edged these with my Distress ink. I'm going to put a little glue down here. I like to make sure my stuff's not going to move. We're going to line up our papers and then lay it down right along the edge here so it meets up with that other page, because it's going to be a double page spread. We want it, when you open up the album, you want it to be able to meet up with the other one. Okay, we're going to go ahead and, now we got that lined up, we can, as you see, this is actually a double-sided paper, but I didn't need a red and white stars. I needed blue and white stars and red and white stripes. So these papers offered both. So we're going to line this up. I cut them so they would be, the lines would go straight down through. Then what I did is I laid these two templates. When I laid these two templates down, I didn't divide them up. I laid them actually together. And as you can see, there's my blue and white stars. So what we're going to do is I put those together so I wouldn't have two separate pieces. We're going to bring back our layout over here. We're going to lay those. If you hear that, that's my little puppies in the background that we scrapbooked in our first album, in our first page. We're going to make sure that lines up with that. So our stripes and our stars go along with each other and match up. Oh, let's see, there we go. Get this tape runner going. So, here we go. Line that up. My stars don't exactly match, but once you get everything on here, you're not going to really notice that. Alright, there we go. We got our stars and stripes for our flag. Isn't that great? See, instead of using it down the line or across the bottom or up the side or across the top, we just put our design right smack in the middle of it. Okay, what we're going to be doing is I took those two stars and cut them out. I've already edged them. We're going to be putting a little bit of tape on this. And let's see here. We'll take this and just lay this right on top of this white star. This is a double matted star. We made it look very rustic. What I used, this distress ink is called Walnut Stain. I wanted something that was dark enough to show up on this darker paper, but really made it kind of an antique look on our page. Okay, we're gonna just put some tape on this star here. And there we go. We're going to lay it right like that, and that creates quite a nice accent for our page. Now, when you're double matting a photograph, I'm just going to throw this up here a little further so we can look at our photographs. What I have here is I have a picture of me in a raft, a picture of my daughter in her raft, and the other picture has a picture of my wife in the raft, and another picture of our daughter in the raft. So what we're going to do is we're going to double mat a photo. So what I did is I'm going to use the thin borders, okay? And what I did is I took, remember, we take and make our photo mat boxes 4 inches by 4 inches, okay? Now normally, if we wanted a wide border, we would do a quarter inch border all the way around. So if you're going to do a quarter inch, you're going to cut your picture a 1/2 inch in. So that's what I did. I came a 1/2 inch in. So this is 3.5 by 3.5. See, we'll just lay the rule right here. And that's 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And this one's 4 by 4. Now if you want to do a double mat, you do a 1/4 inch all the way around. We're going to do that in a red. So when you do a 1/4 inch, so this one here is going to be 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. This is how you double mat. Then what you do, we'll just put a little bit of tape on this red one. And we're going to just, see, it gives an 1/8 inch all the way around. Then we have our photograph. And we're going to put that 1/8 inch around. And see, we have this lovely double matted photograph with the white and the red, and then the photograph. Then see, we can just lay this on this page. See how that makes that pop out with the white and the red? It stands off from that blue, kind of make it look a little more patriotic. I did the same thing with the other photograph. We did the same dimension, so that's how you double mat. Now you can do the same thing with your journaling boxes. As you'll see in the second page layout, I have a journaling box already done. And I did the same thing, but what I did is I used the white, the red, and then I used like a line paper I had for writing on, and I did that in like an ecru, or a beige kind of color. It's called natural. And so that would bring the old world look to it a little bit, make it look a little more rustic. So there we have it, and there we have both of our photographs, okay? So all we're going to do is tape these photographs down. Now, this is a great page. It's a great layout. I really like it. But sometimes you want just a little more oomph to your pages. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up here a little bit because we have to make room for our box. I have a word called float trip that we're going to put on here. We're going to put that down. I have the letters on it, and it's lined out. So we're going to put this in this bottom corner. Float. Now this would be a great page layout. Okay, I like it a lot. But what I decided to do with this is show you how to use embellishments. Now embellishments, if they're not acid-free and lignin-free, you're going to have to be careful with them. Because if they lay on your photographs, they're going to actually discolor your photographs. So what we're going to be using today is we're going to be using some red, white, and blue buttons. We're going to be using some ribbon that's red with white stars on it, and we're going to be using this to accent our page. Okay, so what I've done is, we talked about pop dots the other day. The pop dot will actually raise this button up off the photograph, so it's actually not touching the photograph. And we're just going to take these pop dots, put a red, a white, and a blue on this photograph, just down the side. There we go. Got another red, white, and blue button over here. We're going to use for the other one. going to put a red button, white button, and a blue button. Alright, so that, and actually I had to throw another button in here because I thought, wouldn't that look great? A nice, we have the red and white star with a blue button right in the middle. And we're going to stick that right in the middle of our star. Now see how that makes that stand off the page? Now with something like ribbon, you also don't want to lay it across your photographs, okay? Because we're not sure exactly what that ribbon's made out of. It might have some stuff that has some acid in it. And if you do that, you're not going to be able to put it against your photograph. So since we don't know, it's polyester, but I don't know exactly what it was treated with, so we're going to make it safe. We're going to run this border down our page, and I just use my tape runner to put it on here. We're going to lay it about, and I made this a little longer than 12 inches, about a quarter inch up. And see, we're just going to lay this right down, glue that right on. Now what I did is I made it about a ½ inch longer on each page. That's so I wouldn't be too short on my page. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to come in here with our scissors and cut the trim that off. Come over here to the other side, trim that one off, and as you see, we have a wonderful page here. Let's put our stuff away. We'll bring this page over here. We'll bring our trip page. So we have our float trip. There we go, our float trip patriotic page. We took this float trip actually on the 4th of July. I have on here, the whole family gathered at the river for a big float trip on the South Branch of the Potomac on the 4th of July. What a great time. And as you see, I've carried the buttons over here. I even put a button over here on our journaling box that we laid up there. And that creates a fantastic 4th of July page. Now what's great about this page is not only could you use it for the 4th of July, but you could actually use it for maybe a military page, a Memorial Day page, a Labor Day page, anything that celebrates our nation's history or someone in your family that serves in the military, which I'm very much for. I had a woman just tell me this week, she says, oh, I'm excited to see what your patriotic page looks like, because I kind of gave her a sneak peek at it, and she says, because I have a son that served in the military, and that would be a great layout to use with my son's pictures from the military. So here's out to you, and I hope you'll be able to use a layout like this in your home. Thanks, and we'll see you next week on the Nifty Scrapbooker. One of the things I wanted to add here at the end of this episode was a question I always get asked. Can you put three-dimensional products in your albums, such as the buttons and the ribbon that I put in my last page we just did? Some albums are very thick, like this one. Some are super thin, like this one. And the question always pops up, what about three-dimensional objects? If I lay my album down, it's going to press buttons into this, and it's going to get my pictures. Well, the correct way to store albums is like a book. You would store a book on a bookshelf. So your album is just like a book. So you would actually put it up. So you would stack all your, I actually have mine on a shelf on one of my bookcases, and just line them up like this on your bookcase. So at the end of the bookcase, it would look like this. What that does, it takes the weight off the pages pushing against each other, and you can have those three-dimensional objects in your album without them creating problems. Because as you see, this one doesn't have any three-dimensional. This one might have some three-dimensional stuff in it, and see, it's kind of thicker, so it kind of fans out a little bit. And so that's why you can put three-dimensional objects such as buttons, rivets, stuff like that that could damage other photos when pressed up against another page. But because you store them upright like a book, they will not damage your pages. So that's just a quick tip I wanted to give you guys that store your albums. A lot of times people like to lay them down like this on the coffee table. It's actually best not to do that. Just keep it next to the coffee table, or if your coffee table has storage, just set it up and slide it right in. So we'll see you next time on the Nifty Scrapbooker, where we'll be continuing our third and final part of scrapbooking children, and we're going to be scrapbooking girls. So we'll see you next time on the Nifty Scrapbooker.